Hey guys, as always, it's the Digital Pumpkin Cat, and today Spirit Halloween released a new 2025 animatronic. Now, of course, every year they do their holiday release. I do not know if there will be more, but we usually get more than one, so I can only cross my fingers, because this was I was very let down. But anyway, we'll get into that. This is the new 2025 Spirit Halloween Frankenstein's monster animatronic. Now, of course, we have already gotten an incredible Frankenstein's monster for 2024. Only a few months ago it released from Home Depot, and that, in my opinion, was like the ultimate Frankenstein animatronic. Like, nothing can beat that. You know, of course, there'll be other Frankenstein animatronics in the future. I didn't know it would be this close, but in the future. But obviously, nothing would ever beat that. Some pro Frankensteins don't beat that thing. And I can say probably every single pro Frankenstein beats this guy. So if the Home Depot one never existed, I would, in the least, probably like this guy more than I do now. I would definitely like him more than I do now. Maybe I would even love him, but that is not the case at this certain time period. So in terms of, let's start with looks. It's definitely my favorite thing about this. I love how what they did that this does a lot of things that the Home Depot one doesn't do. But you know, the pros about the Home Depot one cancels out this one by far. Now, the clothes are way better than the Home Depot one. It's just way more accurate, and I just never liked the clothes on the Home Depot one. Just very, very cheap. I mean, they had to cheap out somewhere, but I really love the sculpt too. A side angle is really good too. I really, really love that thing. Looks very accurate and looks like a lot of pro Frankenstein masks we see at like distortions. I just really love the sculpt. I love the coloring too. The coloring is all dark and damp, unlike the Home Depot one. I felt like the Home Depot one had a light color palette, and this one, of course, doesn't. This one is more accurate in my opinion. The colors are more darker. The green skin is much more pale here, unlike the Home Depot one, and same with the clothes too. I really like how the chains look, something, again, the Home Depot one did not have. I like those chains, and I think they add a lot to the look. And I don't like how it's very, very, very disproportionate. The body is really accurate and nice. The body is really bulky, really muscular, it looks like. And I just love how the upper body turned out. From the torso up, I really love how it turned out. But the legs down, now, I'm not going to complain about, like, the pants or anything. That's not what I'm here to do. It's just way too skinny. The unboxings might correct me, but I do not think they added any stuffing to this thing in terms of the legs. The legs just, of course, look like sticks, which they are. But I was hoping they would do something to hide that, considering this is supposed to be Frankenstein. I mean, they obviously did to the upper torso. I just feel like the legs were much more bulked out instead of just look scrawny and disproportionate. So that's kind of weird in my opinion. The head is also really, really small compared to the body. The Frankenstein from Home Depot got all the proportions down. This one just seems all disproportionate. I believe his hands in this one is much bigger than his head. And if you know what humans are, that's not really what's supposed to happen here. But I just feel like it could have been better in proportions, and it just makes him look really, really cheap. Now with animation, what makes him look really, really cheap the most is definitely the animation. I've always said I can't really complain about the moving forward with the arms and head animation. You know, the continuously moving forward, not the jump scare moving forward like Hugs, like Plague Doctor animation. We see it in a lot of Halloween costumes props, which, if that tells you anything about the animation, but anyway, I really think the animation is fine, but it's really in terms of character. Like, for instance, I liked it on Buzzhead, but I did not on the Plague Doctor. In this case, it might work for him, but I wish it was a jump scare. Just the continuously jerking back and forth doesn't work. It's not like he's trying to grab you. It's like he's waking up. I would have really thought it would have been cool to have this guy on a bed, but of course he's standing up, which is also not movie accurate. And I just really think it's weird for him to be doing that while he's standing up. Like, the Home Depot one was really good at that. But here, it just really doesn't make sense. And on top of not making sense, even if he would randomly just lunge forward doing the arms thing in the movie, standing up, it doesn't look good. It's very jerky and just robotic. It just, honestly, this animation on the Halloween costumes props look much more fluid. This is usually just a robotic motion in general, but on the Halloween costumes props, at least they're doing it like constantly. Here he stops for like 3 or 4 seconds and then does it again. Like, it's just very lackluster, very robotic, and it makes every single piece in this prop move. Like, it makes his arms move, it makes his head move around. That you might argue that's more realistic, but if anything, that tells me about the quality in general, because that should not be happening, first of all. And it just kind of looks, again, just cheap, robotic, and weird and crappy. Definitely no Home Depot Frankenstein. And that's kind of what he is. Just a cheap variation of the Home Depot Frankenstein. I honestly don't know what they were thinking on this, because of course I bet you probably $1 million. While making this thing, they've probably seen the Home Depot Frankenstein. At least one crew member has seen it, and I guess they weren't loud enough to say, hey, Home Depot made a great Frankenstein. Maybe we can just cancel this project. Or maybe they already had it made. I just don't know. I think this was a very bad decision on their part. Let me talk about the price now. There's nothing really to talk about. It just sucks. $280. May I remind you that was the same price of the Frankenstein's monster. I'm not even going to try to explain that. Go watch a video in comparison. House of Doom has a great verse video, so go watch that. And come back and tell me which one's more worth the price of $280. I think this guy should be, since he's licensed, I'd be fine with $220. $220 would be the most I'd be fine with. Would be the most I'd say that's a fair price. Anything over, even $5 over, I would say that's a little overpriced, but $280, almost $300, is just insane for this character. And I get it, it's licensed, but they couldn't even get licensed audio, and I just don't really like this thing at all. I think it's just a meh prop. And again, it would look really cool in a haunt, but then you'd be paying the same price you could pay for the Home Depot one. And I think anybody watching this video would take the Home Depot one if given $280 over this guy. So I just don't get why we needed this, but since it's out, it's meh. So thanks for watching, and as always, Digital Pumpkin Cat, like and subscribe. Spirit Halloween is not off to a great start in terms of props and pricing.